Venerable Bhikkhunis, Dr. Manori Senanayaka, President, servants of the Buddha, dear Dhamma friends. Today, we have got a topic which is a real Dhamma topic, where you can go into deep Dhamma through the topic of perception. Thank you very much, Manori, for inviting me to deliver this talk today. From the day we are born to this world, every wakeful moment of our life, we perceive the world through our six sense bases, which is very obvious to us. And these six sense bases are, as we all know, eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, and the mind. Now, each one of these sense bases, or sense doors, you may call it, is capable of only perceiving one category of sensory objects. Eye perceives visual objects. Ear perceives auditory objects or sounds. Nose perceives smells, olfactory objects. Tongue perceives tastes or gustatory objects. Body perceives tactile objects, which are tangibles. And the mind perceives mind objects. Now, of these six sense bases, 5 are open to the exterior world. 5 are open to the exterior world. That is the world around you. 1 is open internally to internal mental objects. Mental objects for the sixth sense door, the mind door. Now, even though we said so, we should analyze it and see it this way. The 5 sense doors, those which are open to the external world, are the eye, ear, nose, tongue, and the mouth, and the body. Now, these sense doors will first internalize the external object. Internalize the external object. Now take, for example, the eye. You see, you focus on a visual object, then you see that, I will come to that in a while. And once you have seen that, it's the rest of the process is internal. And what is seen with the eye should be presented to the mind door. Then mind door takes charge of what you saw. So in that sense, even though we say there are external objects seen by, observed or perceived by the 5 doors, they are ultimately all internal. That is why Buddha, there is one reason why Buddha mentioned that the whole world is within your fathom-long body. Because even the external figures are being perceived and presented to the mind. Mind takes charge of the whole thing. So it's only a shadow that is within, which is being analyzed and constructed by the mind. So, Dhamma friends, now this is the brief kind of introduction of what the sense doors are and of what the sensory objects that are being perceived and what those, where those will end. Final common pathway is the mind door. Now, Dhamma friends, we are in a long sansaric journey. Throughout the sansara, we had been perceiving through sense doors in many lives. This long sansaric journey, in this long sansaric journey, we had been practicing one way of analyzing and understanding the perceived objects. Now, according to Mula Pariyaya Sutta, the Putujjana's perception of the world is very different. Putujjana is a person who has not completely destroyed or eliminated or even halfway through the defilements. So he is with defilements. Putujjana is with all the defilements. Then in a Seka Pudgala, Soan Sakrudagami Anagami, to some extent, there is a hierarchy. From stage to stage, they destroy and eliminate defilement. So they are some individuals who are without defilements, without some of the defilements. So when they observe, when they perceive the world, the understanding they get is different. Putujjana's understanding is called Manjana. Manjana. It's a kind of a distorted viewpoint. When the Putujjana perceives the world, he perceives the world with the distorted understanding. His understanding is distorted. Manjana. Now, when you take Seka Pudgala, this side of Arahant, but beyond Putujjana level, so on Sakrudagami Anagami, they are Mamanyati. They are okay, but not totally without distortion. Their understanding is much better, but not totally without distortion. And when you come to the Arahant, they perceive the world differently. Namanyati. Manyana is not there, no distortion. So when they perceive the world, they perceive the world with a great understanding because they are without defilements. They see the true nature of the world. So they perceive the true nature of the world. We have to get these points into our mind. And when it comes to some Buddha, it's quite the same as the Arahant, but his wisdom is so much which we can't fathom in words. His understanding is even different not the Nibbanic understanding, not that, but there is a periphery that he understands better. So, Dhamma friends, I gave you from Mudaparyaya Sutta how a Putujjana, Sekana, Aseka and Samma Sambuddha perceives the world. Now, our perception is what is important for us. Now, why do I say that we perceive the world with manjana, a distortion? Now we have to see. Now, Putujjana look at the world with a view. Putujjana wants a happy world. A world, he looks at the world either through eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind. He perceives the world with a viewpoint of having a happy world. All Putujjanas have it, either we like it or not. A happy world is our expectation. And a lasting world. Not only a happy world, a world for me, a person, and the exterior and interior, all are people, person, categorized. So we want a world, happy world, Sukha world. We want a world which is lasting, Nitya world, whichever the way we like. We want a world which is owned by us. There is some ownership of a person. Atta. So we look at the world with a viewpoint of Sukha, Nitya, and Atta. But the world is Dukkha, Anitya, and Anatta. With our perception, we don't really understand it. So we look at the world, whichever the way perceive the world, with a distortion of Sukha, Nitya, and Atta. That's the way we open our doors, sense doors to the world. But world is not so. And when there is a personality, we end up with a defilement-filled decisions. So, Dhamma friends, it's very clear the way we look at it. And the Arahant, whom we want to be and what we want to be one day, that is why we are in this kind of forums. The Arahant looks at the world, not that he is sad, he knows the world. In a Anicca, Dukkha, Anatta world, he doesn't have any understanding or a viewpoint of a Sukha, Nitya, and Atta. So he perceives himself, he has nothing to worry. All perceptions of his will be all clear of that kind of viewpoint. So they namanyati, namanyaya, namanyati, namanya, no manyana, no distortion. Abhijanati, not sanjanati. We do sanjanati. Our understanding, our analysis. His analysis is abhijana. So, Arahant is the one whom we want to be. because he looks at the world without any distortion, he doesn't have any idea about Sukha Nitya Atta. He has destroyed all his defilements. So whenever he perceives something, he has nothing to strive, nothing to stop anything. By default, he is clear. So now the next step is, we'll go step by step slowly. The next step is for us to see the problem that we face by perceiving with a distortion or distorted viewpoint. Let's take the eye base or eye sense door for our easy description. Now the eye will focus on the objects, visual objects externally, mediated by the color. Visual object. Say my eye is looking at or focusing on an object which is a beautiful flower. Now, when I focus my eye on the flower, immediately a mind of seeing, or a chakku vinyana will arise within me. From there itself, we are internal. Only the eye which focused on the visual object outside in front of you would be the rupa. Now, next what happens is, immediately as we focus, a mind called chakku vinyana, mind of seeing. Without that mind, you can't see, arises. So now you can see there is a union of three things. What are the three things? You have the eye focused on a visual object, and the mind has arisen as a result. Now this combination of the three, or union of the three, or getting together of the three, tinnang sangati passo, leads to something called contact or passa. So now we have performed passa. Now we are going through the perception. As this happens, we see, we have got the ability to see that what we were focusing on. Immediately with the seeing, we recognize it. Seeing is something, recognizing is another thing. You see it and recognize it. Sanya. And as it happens, you get a feeling, vedana. Whether it's something good, what I saw, or something bad, something appealing or something not appealing, unappealing, or whether it's kind of a neutral thing. So you get a feeling. Sometimes our perception doesn't go beyond the feeling. Very rare. So you get a feeling. Whether it is a pleasant feeling, unpleasant feeling, or a neutral feeling. You get some idea, feeling, vedana, within. If the Vedana is a pleasant one, most of the time we get attached. We get attached to the pleasant feeling and we develop our tanha, and you now come to that level. Tanha, Vedana, and then you get attached. When you say attached, the meaning is very wide. Now, say you saw an unpleasant feeling. You got an unpleasant feeling because what you saw may be an, so-called enemy of yours. Somebody whom you don't like, you saw. So you are unpleasant. There also you get attached. You get attached to your viewpoint actually. This person whom I don't like, you get attached to your viewpoint. And what you like is you get attached to get away from what you saw. You get attached and a liking to get away from what you got, or to go further into anger. One of the two. Displeasure. Getting into anger line. So you are attached. Now what about the neutral one? Still you are attached. You are attached with moha. You feel that you are seeing something which is actually not real. You feel you are seeing, even in the two others. You are seeing. So this is the attachment you get. And this attachment can be fortified within you, might get increased, and you go into clinging, upadana. Now this is just the perception. Now you can see how much of Dhamma is there in the very perception, even though we didn't see that so far. So you go into upadana. And with the upadana, you construct many, many thoughts. Not like when you get the feeling, but you have gone far. But this doesn't take much time. In a flicker, you have gone into upadana and you are constructing a huge volume of mental formations. Sankhara. Even the tanha is sankhara. Even the clinging is sankhara. The constructed thoughts are also sankhara. So you have gone into a volume of sankhara. This generation of sankhara from the attachment downwards will produce kamma for samsara, fuel for samsara. So perception generates fuel for your sansaric journey. That's the danger. Whichever the way, good or bad. Your sansaric journey is being strengthened by the fuel you generated in the form of kamma bhava. So bhava is dhyana. Bhava, you need not be born. You have generated the bhava at the point of perception. Actually speaking, if you have the potential of a kamma you made has the potential of being born, then jati is also there. The potential of jati is also there. Because that kamma, strong javana chitta viti can cause the potential kammas to give a new birth. So that birth is also written here, not away from you. This fathom long body within a flicker. So now you can see what happens with the perception. Now, when you perceive this way, now if the constructed thoughts are so badly, intensified, then you go to the mode of execution. Execution of verbal execution and physical execution. You further fortify your karmic volume. So you further produce karma, which will fuel your samsara strongly furthermore. So, Dharma friends, this is the nature, or this is by default what we were in a samsaric journey. Not only the eye, you see, you hear, you smell, you eat, touch, you taste, you touch with your body, tactile, and even the thoughts that come to your mind can get into a very strong, intensified state within your mind itself without any input from the outside. Abhijja, Vyapada, Michchaditti can develop within you without any external aid. Now, this is the nature and the danger of the problem. So, what we want is to get rid of samsara. Now, to get rid of samsara, now this is the now what I described was the anusotagami sequence. From seeing or from smelling, from tasting, from hearing, from touching, from thinking, you straight go down to the situation of karmic generation. And we have no objection to that, because we see that sometimes that's the right thing also. Not always, but we are helpless actually. Why are we helpless? We didn't make ourselves otherwise. That is why we are helpless. I don't know whether we are doing it even now. Since it was our sansaric journey, throughout samsara, since that is the same practice we had been carrying out, we got ourselves trained for the anusotagami patika. We trained ourselves to go downstream to the karmic generation. We have not gone patisotagami. We have not gone against the stream. Had we gone against the stream, we would have been much better today. I'll assure you, if you start today, you will be much better tomorrow. So how are we now to handle it in the Buddha's way? Can we overcome this fast stream of going into karmic generation level, execution level, from a beginning of a perception? We can't. We can't do it overnight. Different people are at different levels of practice. So they differently handle this. Handling is not the same with everybody. There are very developed people in this world. They handle the perception much better than some others. So what do you mean? So then what have you to do? We have to get trained. Buddhism is a training. So we'll get trained ourselves to go patisotagami, go against the stream, What do you mean by again going against the stream? Do you mean that you are starting from karma to going up to contact? No. From karma to upadana to tanha to vedana sanya. Is that the way? No, that is not. That you never can do. No, what do you mean by then Patisodagamini or Vatisodagami Patipada? That's a different thing. You can be Patisotagami without developing wisdom. You can be Patisotagami with development of wisdom. When you see Patisotagamini without development, without developing your wisdom, you mean you are trying to get over this. That is what I mean by Patisotagami. Get over this problem. Quickly going into a tanha upadana execution level with falling samsara. Now, if you are handling the process of perception without developing wisdom, it's a suppression. It's a suppression. The suppression was not totally condemned by Buddha because all the people before going to the wisdom development should be saved from going into heinous karma. So Buddha's first line is Sabba Papa Sakarana. So at least by suppressing, please avoid the consequences of the perception developing into upadana, tanha, and execution of karma. At least by suppressing. That is what Buddha shows in Vitakka Santana Sutta. Otherwise, Buddha wouldn't have expressed or expounded Vitakka Santana Sutta. In Vitakka Santana Sutta, Buddha says, if you are with a bad or a akusala sign in your mind through seeing or hearing or tasting or smelling or whatever, if you develop a kind of akusala mode, you try to quickly get onto a kusala thing, kusala sanya. You think of something better. You drift and divert your attention. Some people are capable of doing that. And some people, I am not going through the whole thing. Whole thing is what Buddha said in the Vitakka Santana Sutta. Some people are trained very much to quickly get off the akusala mind or the akusala sign or the akusala perception. Quickly, like putting the curtain down before your eyes, in front of your eyes. You just wipe it away. Buddha says that in Vitakka Santana Sutta. Some people are capable, great people. When they get a person in the wrong direction, they quickly wipe it off. The example Buddha has taken there is like the curtain being drawn in front of you, covering the picture. You can do it. I have done it. I can do it. Not that I am a great man. Certain places I had tried it. You have to see what Buddha said. That is what Buddha said now. You analyze what I said and practice and see whether it is true or not. So when you do it, I think it's very much true that all what Buddha said was always true. But practically, I have tried it at several times. Maybe not always, which is true. Which you can do because that will prevent a calamity, prevent a great disaster sometimes. And then Buddha says in the same sutta, if you can't do it by any of these methods which I mentioned, at least clench your teeth, press your tongue against the palate, and somehow or other get out of the bad thought you have got. See? So in that sutta, Buddha has given a place to suppression for a person who is unable to control himself, to practice that at least. With practice, you become a better person. But this does not develop your wisdom. This is a kind of handling your perception, not allowing the perception to take root within you. But this doesn't develop much wisdom. The development of wisdom comes if you do it in the Vidarshana way. Now, that is not a Vidarshana way. That is just a suppression. Tadanga. You can even go to a jhana for a while, then no akusala thought, no perception there. You are just there like a log. Now we are handling the perception. Now, when you take the proper way also has several levels. You will see the Dhamma, what is there in the perception. Now you saw, when you use the eye, how the Rupa gave rise to Nama, and Nama continued as Nama. You saw the object with the aid of Rupa, and the Vijnana, Chakku Vijnana is Nama that arose. So you can see the Rupa Nama and Nama Nama combination. And that rest of the Nama is going within the body with the help of the nutrients. So you can see how the Nama Rupa works at the perception, even in a shallow and a milder way. And you saw, now this is one way a person can look at, that those to do those, you have to be much developed. I'm just telling you the ways, the Dhamma which is found there for a Vidarshana Bhavana. And you can develop the ability to see the Pancha Upadana Skandha. Now you saw the eye and the visual object getting together produce Rupa. In that perception, the Rupa part. Then you got the Vedana, Sanya, you recognize Sanya Skandha. Then the Vedana Skandha, you got a feeling. Then the Sankhara Skandha, you got mental constructions and mentality with Tanha, Upadana and constructions, Sankhara. And the Vijnana or the mind is always there. Without the mind, you can't have any thoughts. So the Vijnana Skandha is there. But in the Putujjana, all these are with attachment. 5 aggregates of clinging, because the Rupa was, I am seeing with my eyes an object outside. Now then and there you are attached. I am seeing something. So you are here, I, and something there, which is not the reality. So you have got clung to yourself. And this is my Vedana. This is what I recognize. You can see how clinging works. This is my thoughts about what I saw. You can see. This is my mind, the way it works. So it's always in the Putujjana. 5 aggregates of clinging with every perception. We just only seeing one go. You have developed the 5 aggregates of clinging. So there you can see Dhamma. So this is the way you develop Vidarshana. And when you think of this Dhamma, your mind from that object and the beauty of the object is taken off. Now you are thinking of the Pancha Upadana Skandha. Pancha Upadana Skandha is not a beautiful thing. But what you saw was considered beautiful. But when the moment you turned inwards and saw that I have got Pancha Upadana Skandha, you have dropped the beauty of the perceived object. Don't think that we are very smart to do this overnight. No. We have a long way to go. Sorry, pardon me for saying that. Some may be very good, but we have some distance to go. So that is one way. And you can see Paticca Samuppada in this perception. Starting from the focusing of the eye on an object, visual object, and rising of the mind of seeing. Now those 3 are factors, causative factors. Without the eye, you can't see. Causative factor. Without the visual object, you can't see that. That is a causative. Without the mind arising, mind of seeing, you can't see. So 3 factors got together. Those are causative factors which cause the vision, seeing. And that caused the recognition. That caused the Vedana. That caused the Tanha, attachment. That caused the Upadana. You just see the Paticca Samuppada in one line. Huge Dhamma, the most important Dhamma, Nyaya, is there with your perception, which we didn't see. No need of reading a book if you see the Dhamma with your perception. And we are hiding behind. We are late, delaying every day. So that is another aspect. So Dhamma friends, for our easy reference, I would say, it's nicer to think that to do all these things, to do all these Dhamma contemplation and perception, that's a contemplation. That is Dhammanupassana. If you stop at feeling and think of it, it's Vedananupassana at the perception level. Whichever the thing, people are very capable of turning and twisting and looking at various Dhammas. So now, to do this, the first and foremost is developing your sati and sampajanya. You should be trained in looking and watching and being mindful of your perception and all your work at every possible moment. Now that is the training that you have to get. You have to be very mindful of every perception you make. You are seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, everywhere. You have to be very mindful to pick it. Now this happens. You pick that. Now I see. You pick that. And also you should have the wisdom to know whether you lost track. I defaulted. I am now wrong. You should know that. If the perception gives you a big attachment or a big anger, you must quickly come to know, now I got into the trap. Now you think of what happened to you. If you are greedy now, think of the greed, but not of the thing you got greedy about. When you think of the quality, now I am having greed within me. Now I have got a pleasant feeling. Now this is the feeling. Now feeling is a feeling. That's a universal Dhamma. That doesn't have a face or legs or nose or mouth. Feeling is the same Dhamma for everybody. It has no beauty. So if you drop the object you perceive, and if you contemplate on the quality of thing you got within, or what you have got, either a nivarana or whatever. If you became very angry by just seeing something, you got angry. Now you know I am very angry now. This is anger. Now anger doesn't get more angry about anger. Anger gets intensified if you still think of the person who made you angry. Now you have dropped him and you are thinking about the anger which has arisen within you. That's the easy way of contemplating. You may make a lot of mistakes. You may fall many a time, but stand up and walk. That's what you have to do. So that's a very easy way of looking at the perception every time. With the perception, what happened to you? When you contemplate on the Dhamma, what happened to you, you will see that when the hetu is gone, when the object is dropped, the feeling is also gone. So you will see the rise and fall. Because when you keep contemplating on the things that you have got in your mind because of that, whether you have got angry or whether you have got greedy, then you will naturally drop the object which caused you so. Then you will see when the hetu goes off, that your anger also goes off. So you can see it's something which is constructed on hetu or factors. So you will see the anicca. You will see the cause and effect as you go along. So Dhamma friends, I think we have done a great deal on this. In 1 minute, I will say, when you do practice this, handling the perception which gives you wisdom to get rid of this samsara and to eliminate the defilement. This is the way to go to eliminate the defilements. You naturally fulfill the Aryattangika Magga with this kind of contemplation on perception. How do you do that? You are mindful at every perception. Samma sati. You know whether what you got is wrong or not. Samma ditti. And when you have the samma ditti, you are with samma sankalpa naturally. And when you do that, you behave better because you have dropped the perception object. Then the sila comes. You then verbally or physically don't abuse. Then you have to have a lot of effort in doing this. You just can't contemplate on perception without effort. So virya is there. If you are very deeply concentrating, samadhi is there. So you can see, Dhamma friends, how your Aryattangika Magga develops in the mundane way. I don't say in the supramundane way, for which you have to go into the Arahant Chitta and the Magga Chittas. But here, as we do, that is the way you develop your Aryattangika Magga with the perception, at the point of perception. So Dhamma friends, thank you very much again for listening to me. Now the time is 5:31. And giving me this opportunity, Manori, thank you very much. We can